Hello viewers, so here we are then, just a very brief look at Most Wanted today. Martin's done a review on the VV website and I thought I'd just support that with a quick video as well. Need for Speed Most Wanted, I didn't get to cover it last year unfortunately. We weren't given access to it at the time, so we weren't given able to show some of the developer interviews and stuff like that, which is quite strange, isn't it, when developers hold back on some of that stuff. Sometimes you wonder if they're actually stuff they've wanted to conceal. I've played the game now, and despite getting very, very high review scores last year, I'm actually quite surprised at all the review scores that it's been getting, actually. I put on Need for Speed Most Wanted. I know it's by Criterion, who make Burnout, so I'm expecting a Burnout style game. I go through the intro, which is very much like the monologue from, as I'm stuck in some kind of menu screen, keeps popping up there for whatever reason. I think of the monologue from Rage Racer, which is very similar to at the start, and then we go into the game, and I'm playing the Xbox version. I think the first thing that surprises me is the shocking frame rate. It's barely 30 frames, I mean barely 30 frames. You know, you can see the jerks there, and you think it looks incomplete, it looks unoptimized. It's quite a surprise. And there's a certain dead feel to the graphics, to the environment. It doesn't feel like you're in a living, breathing city. There's something missing from it. And I say that because I was a big fan of the game years ago. Here we look at the low view cam as well. No cockpit cam, and the bumper cam is too low. It's an unplayable driving view. And I've mentioned this on a few driving games in the past. When you have a cam called the bumper cam, it doesn't literally mean that the cam should be at bumper cam level. It's the front of car cam. And it just seems strange. So ultimately, you end up with one playable viewpoint. So here we are then, poor frame rate in a somewhat lifeless environment with an unplayable viewpoint virtually, and the behind car view. So basically they want you to play from this view. They didn't really take any other views into account. I think in this day and age that's a bit shoddy. We've seen a lot of people recently complaining about Grid 2 not including cockpit cam. There's no cockpit cam here. There's poor frame rate, there's a poorly optimized front cam, there's no bonnet cam, anything like that in there. Seems a bit strange to me. So I think immediately in terms of gameplay I was put off by it, and I was just driving around and thinking, do you know, I loved Need for Speed Most Wanted. You know, at the time, alright, the graphics weren't perfect in it, but it had some really nice effects. It had some nice rain effects, the trees and the forest felt good. When the police were chasing you, it felt like you was in a movie. The music would start, the cops were big, bold cars all around you, and you got an idea of the map of the city. You got an idea of how, you know, different sections were joined and where Camden was, and you knew to get from one section to another what kind of highways you could go down and where you could hide in some of the sort of country roads. Straight away playing this, I didn't really feel it had any identity to it. So I think first impressions for me are very disappointing, and I was expecting something that looked a lot better, that played a lot better, and something where I cared. Now, one thing about this gameplay video is I'm not even taking it very seriously. You'll see me crashing and bashing into walls here and there. I don't really feel it. I don't really feel the handling of the car. I feel it's very sloppy, so I don't really feel anything from it, and I don't really feel like I care about the car in any way at all. I just felt, you know, I test lots and lots of racing games all the time, and this is one that straight away I picked up and thought, looks terrible, can't play the way I want to play it from an in-car or bumper cam or bonnet cam view, and I just don't really care about it, to be honest. It was really kind of a style over substance than anything else. So I think what the big feature with EA has been for the last few years has been pushing Autolog and the online features and DLC. And I think a big part of this is about getting you online and playing with your friends and competing with your friends. It's a really good system, fantastic system, but I don't think necessarily online. I can't be bothered to play online these days. I don't do competitive play anymore. I used to do a lot of competitive play years ago, but it's hassle, it's stress. You've got to get good at the game to compete, and you know, generally when I'm reviewing these games I play them for a limited amount of time, then move quickly on to the next one. So going into a race here, I think I had one goal in it earlier and I was terrible at it, but I didn't really care, to be honest with you. I just went in there and I've ended up somehow at the same race. I thought I was choosing a different one for the video. And again, I just thought to myself, obviously you've got to learn where all the corner cuts are, where the walls are that you can smash into. There is a lot of corner cutting in this game. You've got to learn all those elements to the map where you can really maximise your advantage. I didn't seem to be very competitive here, and I smack into walls as well. So here we are. I'm trying to find a shortcut here, and well, nearly did it, didn't I? I nearly went through that gap, nearly, but unfortunately that was a fail. But I wasn't too bothered. Viewers, because I'm already thinking to myself, do you know what? This lifeless, boring environment, I've completely had enough of it. But my opinion is not one that many of you will share, and I know this. I know that I've seen the magazine reviews. I've seen a lot of people who love this game and play it all the time, and they're probably wondering, Alan, how can you not enjoy this? And perhaps some of you agree with me. Perhaps some of you have picked it up and thought, actually, it looks a bit shoddy. I don't know if it runs on the same frame rate on the PC, or if you can accelerate it in some way and get 100 frames a second out of it. It might make it look, feel and play a whole lot better. But for me, visually, it's dull. I can't play the game where I want to play it, and the environments sort of lack a bit of life to them. And I think when you look at Most Wanted 2005 and Most Wanted 2012, have we moved on? Have we moved sideways? I think it's more of a sideways movement. It shows me the identity of Need for Speed has kind of got lost since we've had this mix of Criterion. I think we always wondered, would there be a new Burnout every year and a new Need for Speed every year? And we've kind of got Burnout Need for Speed in a way now. It's sort of changed the style of the premise of the game. So we've had Hot Pursuit from them, which I thought was a better game than this. I didn't mind Hot Pursuit, it was good fun. I think Need for Speed really has an identity crisis now, and I think it's really, what is Need for Speed? Is it just a cop chasing, car bashing game? Where has it come from? And I'm going to do a feature at some point investigating Need for Speed, and right back to the road and track days where it actually started. And Need for Speed was about, as it gets very dark around me now, doesn't it? I'm becoming a ghost head in the darkness. Need for Speed was all about road and track. It was about testing the new cars, feeling like you was in that car. It was about cockpit cam and interiors. Even back in 1994, something like that, 1995, when Need for Speed came out on the 3DO. So it was a completely different feel. And then, of course, moved to the PS1. It became more arcade-like, and then more arcade-like with the sequel. And I thought Need for Speed 2 was terrible back then. Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit. That was a Hot Pursuit one. That was very good at the time. It had interactive music as well, which is something you don't hear so much in video games now. So it's been on a journey, Need for Speed, and I think it had this kind of feels more like Need for Speed Underground in a way. It does have that kind of underground feel, and that was great 10 years ago. But here we are now. I just expect something more from it. So overall, then, just playing it for the short time I played it, I didn't find it initially grab me. Perhaps I've completely missed the point of the game. From an arcade gaming perspective, and I enjoy that massively, I would stick with Outrun. I like Outrun. I think it's a brilliant game. I'd stick with stuff like that. It's proper arcade to me. Or I would even play games like Grid, because I just find them immediate and quite intuitive in the way you pick them up. I think the car handling here, the way the back end comes out, the way it slides, not feeling it at all, viewers. So that's a little bit on Need for Speed. I'm just going to ramble on now about some other things, and then other things we're going to be having on the channel. So I've been asked to show the new Power Slide, or whatever it is, WRC game that's on Live Arcade. That'll be coming quite soon. And other than that, MotoGP, hopefully in the summer. I'll be covering some of that as well, some of the other new releases. It's been a bit quiet on the channel over the last few months. I'm working on a lot of little projects at the moment, and that's why I'm catching up on all these titles. So you're going to see stuff that was released last year, you're going to see old interviews, you're going to see bits and pieces that I've had lying around over the last few months. I'm just catching up on, and Martin will be reviewing lots and bits and pieces that are going to be appearing on the website as well, and catching up on all that before the new stuff at E3 this year. Whether we're going to be at E3, who knows, but certainly we're looking forward to the new PS4 announcements and the new Xbox announcements as well. There's going to be lots to look forward to there, as well as the PC gaming. Obviously I don't have a PC sponsor at the moment to help us out with all that sort of stuff. When I do, we will cover the PC side of things, but until then it's not really worth the effort trying to cover those titles until we can find the right sponsors and partners and put those in place. But you never know, viewers. Things can happen. As I cross onto the right side of the motorway there, I decided to go back to my viewpoint, but it's just such a struggle, isn't it? I mean, you're so low to the ground, and this is how I played the original Need for Speed. I love to be, you know, right at the front there, massive TV, really feeling the speed all around you, and you just don't get it from the behind car view for me. I'm just not a behind car view type guy. I've just missed my turn off there. I don't know if you can actually make the GPS actually speak. I don't know if that's an option in the game. I think the menu layout as well is a little bit complex. I think things need to be a bit more simple. Go here, do this, do that. There is a lot of this kind of player control where they want to give you layers of player detail, and I don't think it's as intuitive as it should be. I want us to go back to a more basic gameplay where you're directed to your next point, and then you have options once you've completed those points to do certain tasks. I suppose in a way a bit like Forza Horizon, which was had a nice little map layout to it. And after that I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to crash. I didn't really care at that point. So Need for Speed at the moment then, what do I think of it? Well, first impressions are very poor. I see it as an incomplete game, kicked out the door, old school EA. You know, and EA have come past this now, but I see it as one of those things where it's old school, it's kicked out the door, and it's a bit shoddy. And I think some good ideas are in there, but you know, at the end of the day, it's got the magazine review scores, it's got the sales, so you know, nobody's failed on it so far. And I don't know how well it sells or how well the DLC has done since then. And if you enjoy the DLC, do let me know. And if you like the game, let me know. I'd love to know more about all of your impressions, or perhaps there's something that's amazing about this game that I've completely missed. Do let me know about that. I think this cutscene was quite interesting. And again, here's an idea on the handling. So going in a straight line first on this kind of speed test. And again, it's just a dead environment. There's nobody there. Strange feel to it. In a way, the Ridge Racer felt better than this. Ridge Racer Unbounded was a much better feeling game than this. It's and that at the same time probably didn't get the credit it deserved. It wasn't as terrible as everyone thought, but because it was called Ridge Racer, everyone wanted to see it as a Ridge Racer, and it wasn't in its own right. It was just a racing game. It wasn't bad. So this is my final sort of racing test on this video. I do smack into a wall somewhere, but I don't normally drive exterior view on a game, and I just don't have a feel for it. You reach that point where you're not bothered with it, and you're just going through the motions just to complete the game, and then be able to actually give people relevant feedback on it. But I've let Martin do that this time. But anyway, that's it from me for now, viewers. I've had my rant about Need for Speed today, and I hope that from a development perspective and a publishing perspective, they can find really what the brand is about and turn it all around and package it and really find a complete steady progression for Need for Speed Next Generation. Because right now Need for Speed is many types of racing, but it doesn't really have an identity, and it did. And I think EA really need to think about what the identity is, rather than just saying it's got autolog in it, therefore it must be brilliant. No, autolog can be so much better if you build a game that has real longevity to it, and these don't. These have their 1 year longevity, and then it's over. You're never going to play it again. It goes on the shelf. It doesn't get supported. The players all move to the new one. I would like to see them build a real motorsport companion. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon.